All right, hello everyone. My name is Kelly, and I'm a peer academic advisor for the UCI School of Physical Sciences. Today I have Dr. Mario Pulido here with me, who's a mentor for the Physical Sciences Undergraduate Mentor Program. Mario, could you please start us off by introducing yourself and your work a little bit?
Sure, Kelly. Again, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to share my experiences with the PSUM program at UCI. I've been a mentor for over 10 years. I first heard about this program when I was a grad student at USC, and I felt that I should give back to my alumni at UCI, and that's why I joined. And I tried for a couple of years, and I saw that the program was having good success. And then I kept going year after year. And a little bit about my background is when I was at UCI, I did major in chemistry. I was interested in the health sciences and continued to grad school. And then I got exposed into research and immunology and genetics. And my background right now, it's actually a very good fit for the fellowship that I'm doing at UCLA, and it has to do with genetics and immunology. And I made this decision after being in industry. And for me, it is a very valuable experience because I'm connecting the science to the clinic.
Yeah, so thank you for that introduction. How did you first become interested in like kind of health science, and research and clinical experiences?
So for me, it was a mixture of experiences. One of them was to school, because as you're taking those undergrad courses, you get inspired by professors, what you could do with your degree after graduation, and they expose you to the multiple careers. So one of them was pharma. So I think that was one factor. Another factor is, as always, family members that go through, an illness like cancer. I think that was another, um, say, factor that influenced my decision. And then I think also is I'm a caring person. I consider myself a caring person. So I think the work that I do has to carry on to have an impact in the community. And I feel like research and clinical sciences are a good fit for that.
That's really interesting. How would you say most people get into this field? Like, what are some common experiences that they have before taking on like the position that you are in right now?
That's a very fair question. And I think before we used to see sort of a linear path to careers. And right now we are seeing that careers are multidisciplinary. So you start at one point, but right now I think what is good about our education system in general is that we're training students, and we are also getting trained here, even in the real world, is to always be open-minded and sort of have a transition plan to the next path in our career. But I feel that at the core of what we do is how we perceive our training. And that is, if I feel that I should be in the clinical sciences or research, then definitely I would suggest to students to take courses that prepare them for a career in this path. For example, science would be chemistry and biology, but also computing. And in the next wave of scientists, I would say students need to be very familiar with artificial intelligence. Not so much, like ChatGPT, but we really like what is a model? What can the model do for you? Have a little bit of experience with programming. So sort of those skills to be used to the work.
So I assume based on what you're saying that you feel that your chemistry major was very relevant to your job right now. Is that correct?
It is. I think chemistry is still very applicable to what I do, and that is having the analytical process. I think when you major in chemistry, you are able to see the problem in different ways. You are able to approach it from different angles, and you always have an analytical mind for tackling the issues. And that's how I approach my work every day. It's problem solving, and it's always involves analytical skills.
How would you suggest for a student to practice these like problem solving and analytical skills so that they're able to succeed in your job?
I feel that as I talk to students that I mentor at the PSUM program, what I hear consistently is that a lot of times they don't have, a lot of time because of the labs, because they are long. And I would say those are huge skills to have because when you start doing hands-on, you develop a different skill, you develop a patience for problem solving, you start connecting your hands with your brain, even for little details. So you become very detail oriented. And third, you go into a different thinking process. And the thinking process is what it takes to solve a problem. And the labs that are given at I feel are very good at exposing students at these analytical skills.
That's good to hear. What is something that surprised you about the first couple of years of your job, or even the last couple of years?
I think for me, it was sort of exciting and still is that when you join the real world and you really enjoy what you do, you have professionals at all stages of a career. So at any given day, you can be talking to someone that has 30 years of experience and someone that really is just starting. So I think the workplace is the best scenario to apply your learning.
This is a personal question that I had because I'm also a chemistry major. I
Sure.
feel like a lot of chemistry majors that I know struggle between deciding um, between going to medical school and going to graduate school, especially for a PhD program. Did you have this debate with yourself where you were trying to figure out if you were more interested in clinical work or research? And how did you end up kind of reconciling those two interests?
That is a fair question. And let's not go back to the beginning. A lot of these careers, a lot of people have a very clear mindset since high school, maybe since they apply the first time at college. But I feel as you are getting ready to graduate, some students take a gap year. That gap year, I would suggest, getting a job like in a lab or in industry and really assessing how you see yourself in the next 30 years of your life. Going to medical school takes a long time. It is rewarding because you're always with the patient, but it's a learning process that goes on for many, many, many years. Grad school, it is intense research, lasts for, 4 to 6 years, but again, also there's a postdoc or maybe you go to industry and it requires learning. So I think the core of this is having a mindset for always learning new techniques, having an open mind. But I think that's a very personal question. But in my case, I like the research. I saw the impact that research has on the bigger picture of clinic. But I would really suggest taking maybe a gap, whether you have the patience to be in medical school for maybe up to 10 years back to back, because after medical school, you have residency and then the matching process. There's a whole sequence of events. With grad school, it's a little bit more focus. You start publishing papers from day one. Everything comes towards your career. So I feel like they are two different worlds, but if you are really motivated, you can do one of those MD PhD programs and you can have the both best worlds per se.
Thank you for that advice. What do you wish you had known before you got started in your industry?
That's a very good question. I feel like networking is key. So I think this program, the PSUM program, is very valuable to students. I don't think this program was there when I was a student at UCI, but I feel like networking with professionals in the field really brings your understanding of the field, by a lot. So I feel like networking as early as you can is key to advancing your career.
Do you have any other advice that you would give someone considering this type of job?
Have a passion for reading and always ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
And lastly, just the last question that I have to wrap up this interview. Are you able to establish a work-life balance in your field?
That is very important. These days, everything being so connected, I think it's good to maybe if you could in the calendar, block yourself out. And I know that's a very personal choice how people consider themselves blocking out themselves. But usually, what I do, I like to read articles that are not in my field, or just go to the gym for a couple of hours. But I feel like people should block themselves and make time for themselves.
All right. Thank you so much, Mario, for answering all
Anytime.
the questions. I feel like you gave very helpful advice for everyone who is looking into exploring all of their career options. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you, Kelly. Anytime.